I'm Chris Subaton. If you don't know me, I'm the founder of Subaton.io, which is an e-commerce growth hacking agency. It is exactly what it sounds like. We growth hack e-commerce businesses. Of course, there's very specific tactics, which I'm going to share with you exactly what we do in those weeks. And I'm going to also share with you the principles on how to make the right judgment calls. Your job is to respond to your biggest threats to sustainable, profitable revenue. And when you're just starting out, you don't know what those threats are. And so you have to be able to respond to those threats very quickly and just adapt as you go along. This business, which I'm going to share with you that we've scaled, it's called Main Roast Protein Coffee. Sounds appealing, and it actually is a really delicious product. So January, we did $16,687 in revenue. All right, and then in February, so $39,000 in February, so we doubled the revenue from January, and then March, we did $61,000. Your number one priority here is you need to focus on your creatives, and you most importantly need to pump out as many creative angles to test. In our case, it's male and female would be interested in it, from an 18-year-old college bro who just wants to go to the gym and get pumped. Sorry if that's you, I don't mean to offend you. But you know, from an 18-year-old male all the way up to a 55-year-old female. And so you really have to start just putting out like tests to understand, you know, who are the ones that are responding to the most, and then you want to just go as broad as possible. So as broad as possible in terms of your creative angle is like breakfast and coffee in one, or, you know, somebody doesn't have to have breakfast and coffee or have a protein shake and their coffee. It's basically like in one, so that they save time. Like, everybody's interested in saving time because everybody's busy and everybody wants to have more convenience, you know. So you want to do like you want to just do a catch-all, and then you want to start narrowing down why people are buying. So on your website, you are going to implement post-purchase survey, and the app that we use is Inquire, and it's totally free. And what this is once they actually click the checkout button, and you know how they get on that checkout where it starts asking for their information on Shopify? There's a questionnaire there that asks, why did you buy this? Why are you buying this? And we had, you know, quite a few options, but as you can see here, you know, weight management was really the reason why. Who is going to be more interested in weight management, male or female? Mostly female. Ding, ding, ding. Because we spend thousands on beauty and the way we look. This is just how, like, these are the biggest problems that females have. So, and we are like avid consumers, like ravage in terms of, we're like savages about what we like want to buy, where we buy it, and beauty, all of that. So to me, it's not a surprise that weight management is actually one, right? So now we knew to narrow down our targeting. Now this can go up ASAP, and you actually need to put something up like this ASAP, like right now. If you don't have it on your website, like, go download post-purchase surveys by Inquire. It's free, and you start collecting the data, because it's super important for you to start to understand who is buying your product and why they're buying your product, because then you can start crafting your messages around that. Once you start getting the data, you start to narrow down your audience. Now, just bear in mind that here, the first 3 weeks is just testing. You want to test to break even on your ad spend as much as possible. So this is how we bootstrap. We're starting our own two e-commerce businesses this year, and I've advised the lead strategists, go ham on your spending because we have the money to spend, but I'm only giving them like $2,500 to start off. But make sure you're breaking even at that $2,500 every day. I need them to be breaking even at the very least, so that I'm not losing money to acquire the data. For Facebook ads specifically, you're going to prioritize, again, creatives, and then you're gonna hone down your audience by the data that you're getting, and you really need to then start narrowing down the angles of those creatives. So for example, weight management, okay. Now, what we decided to choose was something that was very relatable to all ages, targeting women, and that was Starbucks. So we went with a competitor comparison. Mostly, they are probably going to be addicted to Starbucks. This is most women in the US. We love sweets, we love fatty things, but we want to be able to get the benefit of something without sacrificing the pleasure. So we related it to Starbucks. We're like, got a Starbucks addiction, or are you trying to lose weight but you can't kick the Starbucks habit? So you want to start narrowing down your creatives, and that's exactly what we did. And that actually ended up working really well. It took us about 2 weeks to start narrowing down our audience demographic and start, based on that post-purchase survey, which was our initial data point. And then we were also seeing that some of the purchases were mostly from women. So I decided to just start targeting just women. But then it was we need to start narrowing down here. We need to start committing to getting this female demographic to buy. And that's what we did. And so you can start to see that we started to increase the amount of purchases because our messaging started to become more specific to that demographic. So, here we are, we just tested this, and then we reap the rewards on the 4th week of January. So as you can see, it starts going up. Now, it's really important for you that during this time, you are really just testing a lot of angles as much as possible. When I say you're testing a lot of angles, that really means that your tests need to be fast and cheap. Our tests run for about a day and a half. We probably put in $15 per test or something like that. We are really, really frugal with their tests. When you're testing inside Ads Manager, you wanna just look at the indicators. Your strongest indicator is purchase. So while you put the ad out there to test against that audience that you picked out, did it get a purchase in that day and a half? If it did, that's a pass. If it didn't get a purchase, but then you saw that it got some initiate checkouts, that's the second to the strongest indicator. And then third to the strongest indicator is your add to carts. And then after that, it's going to be your cost per landing page view, which is a combination of the CPM and also your link click-through rate, which is, CPM indicates how broad you're targeting or how specific you're targeting. It's basically the price that Facebook is charging you. And then the link CTR is basically, it's indicating how strong your creative is. You want to generally shoot for a landing page view cost of around you want to try to get that down to less than $1.60, right? It depends on how good your conversion rate on your website is. If your conversion rate is 3%, then you can go for a higher LTV cost, because that means that your traffic is converting better. But if you have a shitty conversion rate on your website, which is 0.75%, you want your landing page view costs to be 60 cents, because you want to get your traffic that you're taking to your website as cheap as possible, because your website is not really converting them. I just went over January, and really the biggest things that made us get to starting to get the account work was we just did a ton of audience testing. We did a lot of creatives testing. We did a lot of testing copies, and then we put in the important thing is putting up the pop-up for people to opt in to start collecting email addresses, which will play a part in February and March, and I'll go over that in a little bit. Now, I basically had what I call the ads team on autopilot. Everybody knows that their job is to just pump out as many creative tests that, as long as we're breaking even and we're not losing money, that's all that matters to me, right? And so I knew that for the month of February, we needed to start focusing on the website and optimizing the website's performance. This is really important because this is the way to increase your return on your investment. So if ads can get you $2 back out of every $1 you spend, you're optimizing the performance of your landing page is gonna give you $3 back on the $1 that you're spending. So it's gonna give you an additional $1 in revenue by optimizing your website. And this is really, really crucial. So I knew that if I'm going to be able to sustain and continue scaling this bad boy, I needed to start working on the conversion, optimizing and increasing the conversion rate of the website. So in January, we had this landing page. This is like a really nice, pretty looking landing page. You know, top of header, biggest, most important thing to people is, does it taste good? So that's like what we went for, right? And that's what we continue to go for, because when we looked at all of the reviews for the competitors for protein shakes, like taste was just a really big deal for a lot of people. So we went with this first, right? And really we just threw something out there like, let's just see what happens, right? Now you get to the bottom and we got to increase our average order value, right? Each of these would have been like 25 bucks, but if you're advertising inside the US, $25 AOV is not going to get you far in terms of profitability. So I knew that we had to essentially increase the average order value to be above $55. And so we decided to put 3 bags, and you save on the shaker, you save on the shipping, and here's the amount that you save is $35, right? Now, we got, the furthest that we got with this was like 17,000 in revenue, which was in January, but I knew that we had to optimize on this. And if you look right here, there's the shop individual flavors, because right here, we're trapping them. We're like, basically you have no choice but to buy 3. And then it's like, oh, PS, you can buy, just 1, but we're gonna make it really hard for you to figure it out. And I knew that I had to open this up. I had to allow people to start buying just 1 if they wanted to. So the conversion rate on this landing page for the month of January was around 2%. Now, most businesses start at less than 2%, and 2% is actually the average. So it's like, okay, but I'm actually going for 3%. I'm going for 5% conversion rate, because I know that if my website is converting at 5%, then Facebook can charge me whatever they want, and that my, cost per website visitor would be like $2 or $3. And my website will do the job of converting these people. So I know, if you have a really low conversion rate that's like less than 2%, you need to work on getting your cost per landing page view, i.e. website visitor, as low as possible, because your website is not doing a good job of converting your traffic. If you have a 3% conversion rate on your website, then you can afford a little bit more expensive traffic. Okay, that's the relationship of landing page to media buying, Facebook ads. Very important that you know that. Now, what did we change it to? So for the month of February, I changed it to this. Okay. Now, this is very cluttered, right? There's a lot of information going on here. Before you make any harsh judgments, I'm gonna tell you that this is now performing at, and I'm gonna use March's data because this is true data, we were able to increase the conversion rate by another 0.5%. Now, the important thing is, did it change the average order value? I'll get to that in a bit. So here's the landing page. Lots of information, right? Now, the reason why I made decisions around putting a lot of information here is because when I analyze the customer data, and I'm gonna tell you one secret that we do to collect information from your website visitors that don't end up purchasing, because it's really important for you to know. But when we did this exit survey is what we call it. They all told me that they wanted to know the nutrition facts. They just wanted to know, they were like health conscious people. So I knew that I had to make this information as like in your face as possible, even though it's a lot of information. And the reason for this is because most people are in a hurry. You have to figure out a way for people to convert in 2 minutes or less. Convert meaning make a purchase. So people make really fast decisions, and all they're doing is they're browsing. They're looking for the words that actually like respond to the objection or the question that they have in their head. So you know, at first I was really hesitant to like clutter all this information, right? But what I did was I went completely opposite. I mean, this was like really clean, very simple. And then I went with like, let's just give them all the information that they can look at right up front. And that's what we did. And also we made it really easy for them to choose like one bag if they wanted to. And what's really important is that you show people exactly the total amount that they're going to pay before they actually get to the checkout page. This is really, really crucial, and it's actually going to increase your conversion rate pretty dramatically. But yeah, so you know, this is actually honestly like 4 weeks worth of optimization and tests for us to get it here. And then we have the testimonials, and then again we have the nutrition info, and then we have the frequently asked questions, and then we just have the reviews. If you have multiple products in your website, you have a bestseller, and you want your product page to reflect this template as much as possible. And just bear in mind too, that most traffic that are going to come from Facebook is mobile traffic. So you really just want to, you know, like format it this way, which is in the mobile device. And again, this increased our conversion rate to 2.52%. My team is right now working on getting it even to 3%. You know, we're trying to do that because I know that that's what's going to continue securing profitability. Our expertise as an agency is that we advertise in the US, which is the most expensive ad spend. This is the way that you have to look at the entire ecosystem. You can't just rely on just Facebook ads. You have to work on optimizing your website. The question here is, has the average order value changed now that I'm letting people buy just one bag? If you look at March's data, average order value is $55, whereas in January, when we forced people to buy, you know, 3 bags for $69.99, the average order value was $57. So really, we only lost $2, which is, you know, it does count. $2 does add up. But when you think about your online conversion rate actually increasing by 0.5%, it basically, you can start scaling at that point. You know, it really just opens up that you can start bringing in more traffic, and then 0.5% more of those people. So let's say you bring in 1,000 website visitors, and then you have increased by 0.5%. That means that 50 more people are gonna buy on your website. So that's, you know, we have like calculators and spreadsheets that calculate all of this automatically, by the way. So that was basically for the month of February. And as you can see, I really just started implementing this change in the last week of January because I knew my ads was working, my ads was on autopilot. And then as you can see, it started to actually hit on February 10th. And then you can see that it started to make an impact here. That's that increase in the conversion rate that's happening here now. Also, what's really important to note is remember that email opt-in, the page that you implement on your website. Now, this is the time during the second month that you start to give out 20% off or 15% off to those who haven't bought yet. And that will increase your revenue. You know, like we did that in February, and that gave us an additional $4,000 at the time. And that adds up, you know, like we did $39,000 in revenue in February. So it, you know, that $4,000 counts, okay? And this is why you wanna grow your email list, is because you wanna try to convert them into customers, because with like a discount, and just get them in there to try your product, and that'll increase your monthly revenue. And as you get more and more email addresses, you're gonna get more and more like significant increase in revenue month over month when you do these special discount offers to push those people who have opted in but haven't bought to buy. And that's also a strategy that you want to implement. Do that sale like once every month. We started it in February. And so that's where you're seeing this increase in revenue. Now, March. By this point, we have so many creatives, and the amount of creatives that we have done, let me just give you an idea. We're doing minimum 5 new creatives per week. This is ranging from videos to graphics and GIFs and images. And then we've done variations of those. You know, we tested first 3 seconds, we changed that out. If we see that one has a potential, has a high click-through rate, but no purchases, then we create variations of that. The month of March, we also did one thing in addition that was different from what we did January and February, and that is advertorials. But what we did instead was we sent it out as an email blast. So let me just show you. Here's the email blast. It's have your coffee at home. It's perfect time to have your coffee at home for many reasons. Keeping it relevant to the fact that COVID-19 is forcing people to stay at home. You know, even if you're watching this and it's way past COVID-19 crisis, which I wonder what that world looks like. But even if you've this is still relevant, right? Advertorials will still work no matter what. What we decided to do is actually make it into, blast it out to the email list. And so, asking them like delicious coffee and weight loss, you can save time and money, here's how. And so when you click on the read more, it takes you to what we call the advertorial. It's the blog post. It's a blog post that just gives them information on how to do it, basically. And we're just pumping out more of these, and they're actually generating revenue. That's actually what is increasing the profitability, because we're not spending money to target these people that are in the email list. They're just converting, and this is actually contributing to the additional revenue that is contributing to this scale. No joke. It's actually working, and that was a significant add-on that we did. So now we're doing more and more of that. The way to do all of these tactics, there is a particular way to do it, but you don't have to know, all you really need to know is that you just need to put out high quality tests and increase that frequency week over week. So that on Sundays, you just look at the data last 7 days, and then you prepare on Mondays, you prepare what you, or if you have a team, what your team is gonna focus on in the next 7 days. What tests are you gonna put out? And I have to give you really strong advice here. Don't focus on perfect. Don't waste time on making it perfect. We've had so many ads that had misspellings that worked and were viral, and then the founder would be like, you guys, that's a misspelling. And we're like, I'm sorry, it's working. Do you want to lose $10,000 or $50,000 because of the fact that it's misspelled? Misspellings actually capture people's attention, and the biggest bottleneck is really when the founders are too conscientious of how the brand is perceived. Nobody wants to put out a misspelling. What's your best friend gonna think? Or the guy who you have a crush on, or the girl that you have a crush on, and she gets your ad. She's gonna be like, Bob's a tard. There's a misspelling on the ad, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, it needs to be taken down. No, you are not even a company yet to be a brand. You're a company when you have figured out how to stabilize your top line revenue growth. And that means that your business has a chance to actually survive. When you're bringing home an EBIT of, even 10%, meaning that that's the net profit that you're taking home after all of the expenses, and your business is growing, then you have a chance. And that's when, you know, it's not until you're making probably around between 500,000 per month in revenue to up to 1 million per month in revenue. That's when we tell our founders and partners, all right, now it's time to think about branding, because you're stable enough that you can start to expand, you can start to really invest into the customer experience at that point. But up to that point, you just need to test. You need to put out the crappiest thing out there that tests your ideas, and you need to do it at a high frequency. If you don't do this, you're going to lose money. You're going to die. Sorry to be so somber, but it's the truth. You know, we've seen so many businesses die because they got in their own way, because they didn't understand that your biggest threat is to figure out how to drive top line revenue growth at a stable rate. Facebook ads will do that for you. And it is the initial catalyst that we use to drive profitable scale, but you really need to also look at the entire ecosystem. You need to use optimizing your website as a lever, and you also need to use your email as a lever. And you need to have all those three things working in, you know, like you need to know how to control all of those three things to make sure that you are staying profitable each week or each month, and then and also scaling and growing at the same time. So hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this. I hope that you guys that it's applicable to you, that it was enlightening, that it's like, oh my gosh, that's what I need to do, and apply it ASAP. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side. Click on the button if you want to know more, if you're up for the challenge, and then maybe we can start working together. Okay, peace out.